January 1979. The King of Kings, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, steps onto the tarmac of Mehrabad Airport. He carries a small box of Iranian soil in his pocket, a king without a kingdom. As his silver Boeing 727 disappears into the clouds, a 2,500-year-old monarchy evaporates in the desert heat. But the vacuum left behind would not be filled by the democracy many had bled for. Instead, it would be claimed by a man who had spent 15 years in the shadows of exile, clutching a prayer book in one hand and a blueprint for a theocracy in the other. The peacock throne and the shadow of the mosque. In the 1970s, Iran was a shimmering paradox. To the west, it was a gendarme of the Gulf, a modernizing powerhouse of miniskirts, jazz clubs, and nuclear ambitions, fueled by an ocean of oil wealth. But beneath the glitter of the Shah's great civilization lay a simmering cauldron of resentment. The Shah's Savak, a secret police force whispered about in every tea house, silenced dissent with iron-fisted efficiency. While the elites toasted in French, the traditional merchant class and the rural poor felt their culture was being sold to Westoxification. In the holy city of Najaf, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini saw not a modernizer, but a puppet of the great Satan. His weapon wasn't a gun, it was the cassette tape. Thousands of tapes smuggled across borders, carrying a message that fused ancient religious grievance with modern revolutionary zeal. He promised the people everything: freedom from the secret police, free electricity, and a return to Islamic dignity. 2. The February firestorm. By late 1978, the streets of Tehran were no longer thoroughfares. They were battlefields. Sound: the sharp crackle of gunfire. Screaming: the heavy thud of marching boots. Black Friday, September 8th, Jaleh Square. The military opens fire on a sea of protesters. The asphalt turns crimson. In that moment, the Shah's fate is sealed. When Khomeini returns on February 1st, 1979, millions line the streets. They see a savior. But among the crowds are liberals, Marxists, and secular students, allies of convenience who believe the Ayatollah will retire to the mosques of calm and leave the governing to them. They were fatally wrong. 3. The Great Betrayal. Freedom decimated. The transition from monarchy to theocracy was not a transition to liberty. It was a pivot of the neck from one news to another. Within months, the revolutionary committees began their work. The Purge, former officials, generals, and even the secular revolutionaries who helped topple the Shah were lined up against the walls of Evin prison. The Veil of Silence. In March 1979, the mandatory hijab law was announced. Tens of thousands of women marched in protest. Their cries of freedom is not Eastern or Western. It is universal, drowned out by mobs of Hezbollah thugs. The Culture War. Universities were shuttered for years in a cultural revolution to purge Western influence. Books were burned. Music was silenced. The Republic did not just govern the state. It sought to govern the soul. The Vilayat-e-Faqih, the guardianship of the jurist, invested absolute power in one man. The government of God had arrived, and it would tolerate no rivals. 4. Exporting the flame, a region in shadows. The new regime's gaze soon turned outward. Khomeini did not believe in borders. He believed in a global Islamic uprising. This export of the revolution would set the Middle East ablaze for the next half-century. The rise of proxies. Through the newly formed Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, Tehran began birth Hezbollah in Lebanon, transforming a civil war into a long-term proxy front against Israel. Sectarian warfare. By claiming leadership over the world's Muslims, the Republic ignited a fierce Cold War with Saudi Arabia, turning countries like Iraq, Yemen, and Syria into scorched earth chessboards. The extremist blueprint. The 1979 revolution proved that a modern state could be seized by radical clerics. It provided the psychological spark that emboldened extremist movements across the globe, both Shia and Sunni. The case for the Great Divide. The tragedy of the Islamic Republic serves as a stark, historical warning. When the pulpit becomes the podium, Both religion and the state are corrupted. History shows us that religion thrives when it is a matter of conscience, not a matter of police records. When a state claims divine authority, its political failures, economic collapse, corruption, and systemic injustice become sins against God. This leaves the citizen with no room for dissent. For to disagree with the government is to disagree with the Creator. The separation of religion and state is not an attack on faith. It is a safeguard for it. It ensures that the law is grounded in the shared, earthly needs of all citizens, rather than the narrow interpretation of a few men in robes. The silent echoes. Today, the glittering skyscrapers of Tehran hide a nation in mourning for its own potential. A generation of youth, born decades after the revolution, now looks at the crumbling walls of the theocracy and asks, what cost? The Islamic Republic remains a fortress of ideology, but its foundations are cracked by the very people it claims to protect. The fire that started in 1979 continues to burn, not as a beacon of hope, but as a cautionary tale written in the blood of those who thought they were marching toward dawn, only to find themselves lost in a long, dark night. If you found this documentary meaningful, consider subscribing for more deep, cinematic explorations of history. And let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective matters.